So, okay, good. So what I thought I'd do today is put this in context based on the experience that Cornell has over the past 3 years or so during the establishment of the research program, and really try to focus on the human factor in terms of capacity building. I don't know, there's a pointer here. Anyway, I'll use the marker here. So the ideas of building a knowledge-based economy, the 2030 vision of Qatar as a nation, is based on the vision of His Highness Sheikh Hamad bin Khalifa Al Thani. And it's based on 4 primary pillars, which is based on human development, social development, economic development, and environmental development. All of these are clearly very much interrelated. And what we'll try to focus on and talk about today is the human development, which clearly, I don't think anybody would disagree with that statement, is the factor that will ensure sustainability for the long term, for the future. So if the country is going to invest heavily into building a research infrastructure, the key factor is to ensure sustainability for the long term. And that's done by training young generations, by ensuring there's enough talent in the country to carry over what has been established and done on the short term. And I also have here a quote from His Highness the Emir in the occasion of the graduation of the first students from Qatar Foundation. And I want to focus on the latter part of that quote where he says, Education City, or the goal of Qatar Foundation in general, is to plant the seed of knowledge and enhance the strategic role of science in building both the country and its citizen. And this is basically the driving vision that drives what we do on a daily basis at Cornell. This is also supported by many, many quotes from Her Highness Sheikh Moza bint Nasser, which I have a couple of them here, where really the vision is to really invest in the people in the country. And by doing that, you ensure sustainability, you ensure that the growth you're building, the effort you're putting into research is carried over for the next phase of the growth. So what I thought I'd do is, given the vision and the leadership in the country that's driving our mission, is put in context what Cornell has done over the past couple of years in terms of building the research program and what our contributions have been in terms of the human capacity building factor in the country. So a few words about Cornell very briefly. The institution here is a branch campus. There are 3 campuses, 2 of them in the US, one in Ithaca, which is the main campus. The medical school is in Manhattan, and then the Qatar campus is the medical school in the region. The program here is unique. It's a 6-year medical program. It's the first American university to offer an MD degree abroad. We have robust affiliation with Hamad Medical Corporation and Sidra Medical Center. And what I'll focus on today is the research program and the growth of that research program. So our goal for the WCMC-Q research program is actually very simple, yet quite difficult to achieve. What we'd like to do is establish a center of excellence that addresses basic translational and clinical research with the goal to really affect the health needs of the Qatari population on the long term. So that's really our focus. Multiple strategic goals. Some of them are building the infrastructure by introducing cutting-edge platform and technology transfer from our main campuses. The second goal, which is highlighted in red here, is really building human capacity. And that you do by instituting a lot of training programs, recruiting top-notch talent worldwide, and having them interact with the local talents in the country. And then also our model is very much built on collaborative undertaking. To perform research, to build capacity in the country, there needs to be a critical mass of scientists, a critical mass of ideas that are generated and supported. And that can only be done in Qatar presently through collaborations, internationally and nationally. And our deliverables, the way we see them, is by contributing new knowledge, either through publication and intellectual property, and eventually the application of this new knowledge in terms of commercialization, establishing new companies that will close the circle and have these ideas that have been generated by funding from Qatar turn into companies that also support human capacity building, but also produce income for the country and close the circle. So our vision, the way I really want to use a pointer here, but the vision that we have in terms of building the research program is using a multi-pronged approach. If you're gonna provide real training, if you're gonna build the human capacity realistically, you cannot do that in a vacuum. It has to be done where you have a functioning research program, where you have a functioning administration. You have to build all this infrastructure before you even initiate human capacity building, before you even initiate training. So I'd like to spend some time to talk about our infrastructure, how we've built it, and how that have helped building the human capacity factor, which is the focus of this workshop. So the research program, I've told you about the deliverables a little bit here on the right in blue, and one of them is the sustainable human capacity building. The primary goal of the research program is to translate research from the bench, to undertake good bench research, good basic and translational research, translate that to the bedside, and eventually on the long term to the community in terms of impacting the public health of the population. So the structure of our program is building a robust research administration, and that involves everything from procurement, from hiring, from compliance for research, human compliance, animal compliance, IBC, so on and so forth. All of that has to be in place. We've also invested heavily in building core labs that provide you with a technological infrastructure. Nowadays, science is done very broadly. We're in the omics area where a lot of these platforms cannot be purchased by individual labs and have to be supported institutionally. And that's what we've done in the context of the core labs. Another very important factor is to recruit and retain top-notch scientists, both internationally and nationally. And then training programs that I'll talk about some more. And the model is collaborative in terms of both involving local stakeholders and, in addition, international players. So the human capacity building factors, in my mind, those are the features you need as a minimum to be able to really start building human capacity. You need a strong administrative base. You need cutting-edge technology and platform to be able to train your trainees on to build the human capacity factor. You need a critical mass of highly qualified scientists, training programs, and a clear career growth path. The last point is actually very, very critical. It's not sufficient to just train the individuals and give them the know-how. To get them involved, to get them invested in science and research in Qatar, there has to be a very clear career path where they say, if I'm going to start at an institution as a research specialist, I have to be able to see a very clear path where eventually in 5-10 years, I can take a leading role in that institution. And that's critical to really engage those new trainees and keep them within the organization. So the research program has grown exponentially over the last 3 years, starting from about 20 people. We're over 100 now, as of the last count. And a large part of that is the human capacity factor, and I'll talk more about that. And on the sides here are the picture of our illustrious faculty members who lead the labs that, lead the charge in all of this. This is a key factor in what we do at Cornell, and I really want to highlight it. There's about 100 people in research, a little over 100 people in research. 48 of those are research specialists at various stages of the research specialist spectrum. Most of those, the vast majority of those research specialists were recruited locally. They're long-term residents of Qatar. They're typically born and raised in Qatar. They've gone through the educational system here. A large majority of them are graduates from Qatar University. And they've been recruited and provided an on-the-job training program where they specialize in particular areas of research depending on the lab they work in. That's a very large number of our entire workforce in research. And that's the human capacity building factor as we see it. A little bit about the structure of our research program. I've told you a little bit about this. Research administration is divided into 4 components. I won't dwell on those. A bunch of core labs that support all the faculty members and the individual labs in red that are undertaking the actual research. But the actual research is not done in a vacuum. There's a structure in the core labs and research administration that supports it. I'll just put this up. There are multiple core labs that support multiple aspects of the research program. The training we do is not only done in the context of individual labs, but also in the context of these core laboratories that typically deal with cutting-edge technology and support our trainees and researchers. The training programs we have span the spectrum from programs that are specifically focused on students. We send our students to Ithaca, to Manhattan, and a lot of them stay here in Doha as a summer research training program. That's part of their training. We host a lot of the QSLP trainees that Dr. Ayman runs that program, and QF Research Division supports it. And those trainees train both in the scientific track and administrative track. The research specialist program I already talked about. This is really our primary human capacity building program. Medical students rotate on a regular basis into the labs, and on average there might be about 20 students in research lab at any one point in time. And a very recent new addition, where we very much want to focus on the Qatari nationals, is a training program at Cornell, where Qatari nationals who are interested can come in, spend 6 months with us, and then learn all aspects of research, from doing bench-type research to learning what research administration does, so on and so forth. This is a 6-month program. The trainees are basically our employees for that 6 months, and they spend that time, and I think that's going to be a very good program for the future. This doesn't happen in a vacuum. We rely a lot on our local partners. They're listed up here. I won't go through them in the interest of time. And our researchers at Cornell have collaborations that span the globe. Every dot here is a lab that collaborates with a lab at Weill Cornell Medical College in Qatar, and you see that it's pretty broad. So the growth program in our training, although I focus on the research specialist, I want to briefly talk about the postdoctoral fellows also, because I see that also as a very important research capacity building program, where these scientists are trained locally in terms of how to do cutting-edge research. They're contributing, they're publishing papers that are done in Qatar, and that will be very good for the future. All of this training program, all of this collaborative effort has led to successes. I won't go through the number. Our extramural funding has increased exponentially, and people are publishing papers in cutting-edge journals that deal with a variety of fields that are important in biomedicine. So I'll stop here and address, would there be questions to the end? Okay, thank you.
You can add the second presentation. Appreciate it, Dr. Khaled. Let's move to our next presentation. It gives me a great pleasure to invite Dr. Asmaa Almuhannadi to deliver her presentation. Dr. Asmaa has received her PhD from Ain Shams University, and she is now heading the Department of Scientific Research at the Supreme Education Council. Dr. Asmaa, the floor is yours.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بداية أتقدم بالشكر لمؤسسة قطر على إقامة المنتدى السنوي للبحوث، وإن دل على شيء فإنما يدل على اهتمام المؤسسة بالعلماء والباحثين وتشجيع البحث العلمي. باسم هيئة التعليم بالمجلس الأعلى للتعليم يسرني أن أقدم ورقة اليوم لنستعرض أهم أنشطة وفعالية قسم البحث العلمي بهيئة التعليم في دعم البحث العلمي في المدارس. الورقة راح تتضمن بعض المحاور الأساسية: أهمية البحث العلمي، قسم البحث العلمي في هيئة التعليم، العلاقة بين البحث العلمي ومعايير المناهج، وما هي الأنشطة والفعاليات التي يقوم بها قسم البحث العلمي. المقدمة: كما تعلمون تنبثق أهمية البحث العلمي من اهتمام الدولة بالبحث العلمي، فإحنا نجد اهتمام كبير بالبحث العلمي، وهذه أيضا تحقيق لرؤية قطر 2030 في خلق جيل واعي، خلق جيل قادر على البحث في أي مشكلة تقابل هذا الجيل، وفي أيضا البحث عن الحلول لأي مشكلة ممكن تواجه أي طالب في المدرسة. أهمية البحث العلمي، لماذا؟ طبعا أنا ذكرته، اللي هو هنا نجعل الطالب عندما تواجه أي مشكلة يفكر في هذه المشاكل، لا تمر عليه مرور الكرام وإنما يبحث فيها. وأيضا مهم للطالب وأيضا للمدرس أيضا نشجع المدرس على الممارسات التأملية وعلى إجراء البحوث الإجرائية لتطوير عملية التعلم. أيضا المدرس في داخل المدرسة تواجه بعض المشاكل في الصف في المدرسة، فهذه أيضا دعوة للمعلمين لممارسة البحث الإجرائي. قسم البحث العلمي بهيئة التعليم هو المسؤول عن دعم البحث العلمي في المدارس ونشر ثقافة البحث العلمي. تأسس القسم عام 2007، ومن خلال فريق قسم البحث العلمي يقوم بمجموعة من الأنشطة راح نستعرضها، واللي هي دعم البحث العلمي في المدارس. ما العلاقة بين البحث العلمي ومعايير المناهج؟ احنا كقسم البحث العلمي في هيئة التعليم هناك مشروع ما يسمى شبكة التواصل بين قسم البحث العلمي وبين أقسام المعايير ككل. ليس هناك معايير للبحث العلمي. الطالب عندما يطبق البحث العلمي يطبقه من خلال المواد اللي يدرسها، فهناك تكامل بين البحث العلمي وبين معايير المناهج. كل مادة لها معايير، أو تعتبر معايير البحث العلمي محور أساسي في كل مادة علمية. فهنا مطلوب من كل أي طالب في أي مادة لابد أنه يطبق البحث العلمي على حسب ميول الطالب. وأيضا إحنا من شروطنا في هيئة التعليم عندما نطلب من المدارس تفعيل البحث العلمي أيضا ما نركز على الجانب العلمي، وإنما لابد أن يكون هناك تنوع في الأبحاث، يعني في مسار أدبي وأبحاث تقدم في المسار العلمي حسب مثل ما ذكرنا رغبات الطلبة. فعندنا أغلب المواد أصبح لها معايير: العلوم، الرياضيات، العلوم الاجتماعية، الاي تي. حاليا احنا بصدد أيضا تدشين معايير العلوم الشرعية. فهنا الطالب ممكن يقدم البحث ويطبق معايير مادة من المواد، وممكن يكون تكامل بين مادتين أو على حسب البحث اللي بيجري الطالب. دورنا احنا كهيئة التعليم أو في قسم البحث العلمي في تفعيل البحث العلمي أو نشر ثقافة البحث العلمي يتم من خلال الزيارات المدرسية، من خلال المسابقات المدرسية، ورش العمل، وفي النهاية أيضا احنا نحتفي بالفائزين من خلال المعرض الوطني لأبحاث الطلبة. نمسك بند ونوضح كيف نفعل البحث العلمي في المدارس. بالنسبة للزيارات المدرسية، احنا يمكن في بداية العام الدراسي نرسل اخطار أو تعميم لجميع مدارس قطر. احنا يمكن السنة أصبح البحث العلمي إلزامي، يمكن السنوات السابقة كان بس لمدارس معينة حسب الرغبة. هذه السنة أصبح البحث إلزامي، كل مدرسة لابد أن تطبق البحث العلمي. وأيضا وسعنا القاعدة، كان السنوات اللي سابقة كان البحث العلمي بس مقتصر على مدارس المستقلة. من هذه السنة أصبح البحث العلمي لكل مدارس قطر، سواء المدارس المستقلة أو المدارس الخاصة. إحنا دورنا كقسم بحث علمي، كفريق البحث العلمي، مثل ما ذكرت في البداية، نبعث اخطار للمدارس بتفعيل مسابقة البحث العلمي، ونزودهم بنماذج للخطط اللي بناء عليها بيبنون خططهم. طبعا هذه الخطط هنا المدرسة تبتدي تعمل خطة للبحث العلمي، تبتدي تشكل اللجان، الفرق اللي هي بتشرف المنسق البحث العلمي ومشرفين على البحث العلمي في كل مادة، وأيضا المحكمين اللي بيحكمون هذه الأبحاث العلمية. وأيضا المدرسة دورها تنظم مسابقات مدرسية، اللي من خلال هذه المسابقات نتائج تطلع لنا. احنا نطلب من كل مدرسة أن تقدم لنا بحثين، بحث في المسار الأدبي وبحث في المسار العلمي. فمن خلال هذه المسابقات الداخلية كأنها يعني بروفة مسقرة للمسابقة الكبرى اللي احنا بنختار فيها الأبحاث الفائزة، وأيضا بيعمل لهم أيضا تحكيم من أول وجديد، وفي النهاية بنطلع من كل على حسب المراحل. عندنا المرحلة الابتدائية والإعدادية والثانوية، ففي النهاية نختار المرحلة الابتدائية بنطلع بحثين فايزين، بحث في المجال الأدبي وبحث في المجال العلمي، والمرحلة الإعدادية كذلك والمرحلة الثانوية. فإحنا هنا في خلال هذه الفترة نقوم بزيارة هذه المدارس، نتابع الخطط، المدارس تزودنا بالخطط، نتابعها، نراجعها، نرد عليهم إذا الخطة سليمة أو تحتاج إلى تعديل. أيضا نقوم بزيارة هذه المدارس، نشرف على اللجان، على هل هم المدارس بدأت تفعل البحث العلمي، بدأت تنظم ورش، بدأت مثلا تشكل الفرق المحكمين والبحثية وغيرها. مسابقة البحث العلمي هاي الموضوع الأساسي. كل مدرسة لابد أن تعمل مسابقات في المدرسة اللي قلنا في النهاية تظهر لنا ببحث مجال علمي ومجال أدبي. ما هي الإجراءات المتبعة في تفعيل المسابقات المدرسية؟ احنا طبعا ذكرت تزويل المدارس بنموذج لإعداد خطة البحث العلمي، زيارة المدارس، تحديد تاريخ الاستلام الخطط، نحدد لهم تاريخ مثلا عندكم شهر أو شهر ونص تسلمون الخطط، تحديد موعد لعمل الأبحاث. احنا السنة فترة عمل أبحاث من شهر يمكن بدينا من شهر 9 بداية العام الدراسي، أو شهر 10 و11 و12 وشهر 1 آخر، نهاية 1 آخر موعد لتسليم الأبحاث المدرسية. أيضا نزود المدارس بهاي نموذج للخطة التي تزود فيها المدرسة، واللي بناء عليها بتبني خطتها. يعني احنا نعطيهم الإجراءات اللي بناء عليها تبني المدرسة خطتها. هنا شروط المسابقة: لابد أن تكون الأبحاث مرتبطة بمعايير المناهج. يعني شرط أساسي مثل ما ذكرت أن بند المعايير يعتبر محور أساسي في كل مادة، فهني الطالب لما يعمل البحث العلمي لابد أن يعمل بناء على معايير المناهج. مراعاة أساسيات البحث العلمي، ويفترض أن الطالب تدرب على أساسيات البحث العلمي. يعني من البداية المدرسين والمسؤولين ممكن يدربون الطالب على البحث العلمي. التحكيم أيضا المدرسة هنا تشكل لجان التحكيم، ممكن من داخل المدرسة، ممكن من خارج، ممكن من الأولياء، من الأمناء، فعلى حسب المدرسة، بس يشترط أن يكون المحكم على دراية بالبحث العلمي بمستوى عالي، على أساس أنه يكون التحكيم سليم. التأكد من الأبحاث غير مسروقة أو غير مشاركة فيه، ويشترط في البحث من 2 إلى 4 أشخاص. هذا أيضا نزود المدارس باستمارات التحكيم اللي على أساسه بتحكم الأبحاث باللغة العربية وباللغة الإنجليزية. وهذه أيضا عندنا استمارة اللي على أساس الطالب يعمل بحثه، توضح للطالب الخطوات اللي ممكن يتبعها أثناء البحث. أيضا من الفعاليات اللي إحنا ندعمها أو نعملها اللي هي ورش العمل، من خلال التعاون مع مكتب التطوير المهني ومع معايير المناهج في عمل ورش للبحث العلمي. وهنا هاي الورش موجهة للمعلم في تدريب المعلم على البحث الإجرائي. في النهاية طبعا احنا هذا بالتعاون مع جامعة قطر، ف أيضا نشجع المدرس على أنه هو يبحث في المشاكل اللي تواجه في الصف في المدرسة، ويقدم بحث في نهاية العام، وأيضا يتحكم مثل أبحاث الطلبة نفسه. أيضا من وسائلنا في دعم البحث العلمي اللي هو تشجيع إنشاء المنتديات والمدونات. فإحنا أنشأنا حديثا مدونة للبحث العلمي تهدف إلى التواصل بين الطلاب وبين المعلمين، وهنا يعبرون الطلاب عن آرائهم، وأي استفسار، أي تساؤل إحنا ممكن نرد عليه. أيضا عندنا موقع للبحث للبحث العلمي على موقع المجلس الأعلى للتعليم، هذه تم تحديثه السنة. وأيضا كل الداتا اللي يحتاجها المعلم أو الطالب متوفرة من استمارات تقييم، أخبار جديدة، فأيضا هذه ممكن نستفيد منه في المسابقات. أيضا من وسائل الدعم إيجاد دعم مجتمعي للأبحاث في المدارس المستقلة. يعني إحنا أيضا نشجع المدارس أن ممكن يدعمون الطلاب، ممكن أولياء أمور، شخص متميز ممكن يعطي ورش، ممكن يقدم هدايا، فتواصل بين المدرسة وبين المجتمع هذه يعتبر من الأشياء الأساسية في البحث العلمي. أيضا من الأنشطة إنشاء المراكز البحثية، وهناك أيضا وضعنا شروط ومعايير لإنشاء الأندية والمراكز البحثية في المدارس، وهذه الأندية له دور في تدريب الطلاب على كيفية البحث العلمي، تزويدها بالأجهزة، وأيضا تفعيل مصادر التعلم في المدرسة. وممكن هذه المراكز تخدم المناطق المجاورة، كل منطقة ممكن يكون فيها مركز يخدم الطلبة في منطقة من المناطق. أيضا تتويج لعمل الطلاب في نهاية العام ومن خلال المسابقات المدرسية. أيضا إحنا هذه مثل ما ذكرت نختار بحثين من كل مدرسة، بحثين فائزين، وأيضا يتحكمون تحكي لجنة من عندنا على مستوى عالي، وفي النهاية نحتفي بالطلبة المتميزين في معرض سنوي السنة سيقام في شهر 4. أيضا بالتعاون مع جامعة قطر هناك البحث الإجرائي، وإحنا ذكرناه من قبل. الشركاء اللي معانا في دعم البحث العلمي، إحنا شريك مع الصندوق القطري للبحث العلمي في تطبيق معايير البحث، معايير المناهج في البحث. هم يمكن عملهم مركز على طلاب المرحلة الثانوية، فلهم إجراءات ولهم شروط تختلف عن شروطنا، بس في النهاية الطالب لما يعمل بحث بيطبق معايير المناهج. أيضا في تعاون بيننا وبين المركز الثقافي للطفولة، وبيننا وبين جامعة قطر من خلال البحث الإجرائي الذي يقدمه المدرسون. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Thank you دكتورة أسماء for this very inspiring presentation، وإن شاء الله بيكون التعاون بالمستقبل أكثر بين مؤسسة قطر والمجلس الأعلى. Let's move to our third presentation, which will be delivered by Dr. Mohamed Ahmedna. Dr. Ahmedna has received his PhD in food science from Louisiana State University. He also holds an MBA from the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. Currently, Dr. Mohamed acts as the Associate Dean for Research at the College of Arts and Science at Qatar University. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Ahmedna.
Thank you, Dr. Bassil, and good afternoon, everyone. First, let me find my presentation. What is it? Can you get this one? I think so. Yes. Go ahead. Okay. Yeah, I was asked to provide a short presentation on research capacity building and with focus on human capacity. So I'll share with you brief slides on the view of that capacity in connection with what Qatar University is doing. To start with, Qatar University is a national university, was established in 1974, and it now has about 7 colleges. And speaking of human capacity, it's one of the largest sources of development of human capacity in the nation, with about 9,000 students, about 600 faculty members. And since the reform project that has been initiated, it has been also all centered around human capacity and enhancement of the quality of research endeavors within the university as a whole. So if we're talking about human capacity in the connection of research capacity, one could liken it to, in real estate, they say property, what's important is location, location, location. Likewise, in research, what should be important is really human capacity, human capacity, human capacity, because that's the basis of everything that will make or break the research endeavor. So in connection with that, the university itself has been working on the research capacity in, if we take, for example, which is so key to institutional competitiveness, especially if we take it in the context of the three pillars that are required for institutional competitiveness, and these are the strategy, the structure, and the culture. The strategy is telling us where we go. I mean, the human capacity has to be directed towards an objective. And then the structure is means by which the research and then others are achieved. And then third, the research culture, which is really very important in terms of being a lubricant, making sure that everything functions as smoothly as it can. So having those three pillars for institutional competitiveness as the core of its effort will show you. So I'll go just among those three and then give you an example of activities that have been done by the university. Let's say, for example, strategy, which is your guide. The strategy, the university has embarked on an ambitious strategic plan that is converting the university from purely teaching into a more comprehensive university where teaching, research, and outreach are connected and work in sync. And then there were plans for graduate program being the pillar or the main, the backbone for research. And then there is identification of research priorities that are in line with national priorities and also the priorities that you see here at Qatar Foundation. And those same priorities are being refined as we speak to better respond, to be more focused and more in line with the national needs. And then, of course, the human capacity will also need that research infrastructure, which is being enhanced from the research complex that's going to be finished soon, the library, and then a vivarium that will be coming online. And then, of course, the recruitment of talent, that's the human capacity. In terms of the second pillar, which is the structure, which basically enables. If you bring talent, you need to enable them. So the policy, remember, Qatar University in most of Qatar had no research as we speak, at least advanced research in the past. It was mostly teaching. So everything has to be started from scratch. So policies and procedures were implemented and used. Administrative support and then incentives in terms of awards and reward and then inducement into research. Graduate program, we listed those in terms of the strategy, but also they are enablers if you look at them from another angle. They are enablers for research. And research centers, bringing people together because the critical mass in research is what makes a difference. And then being at the beginning of the research endeavor, you need to have, we know that we are thin in many areas, so a lot of those centers will bring researchers to collaborate and work together. The other is the central or core labs that are, as Dr. Khaled mentioned earlier, nowadays research is very expensive. Equipment and facilities, nobody can afford duplication, especially of the high end of them. So those core facilities will make a focal point for various colleges and researchers to work together. And then funding also sources. Again, the expenditure on funding is the fuel that enables you to do research. And therefore there are intramural funding, but there is also extramural, especially through the Qatar National Research Fund. And then on top of that, there is a push towards multidisciplinary, cross-disciplinary integration within the university itself. I'll just give you an example of conceptual frame where we have about 6 colleges plus the Sharia. If you look at bringing them all together, you could say, for example, the 3 colleges, the engineering, the pharmacy, and then the arts and sciences. There are many areas where they overlap, they connect. Okay? So your sweet spot is a spot that brings as many colleges as possible. And then you have the cross-cutting colleges, which are, let's say, law or business or education, that permeates all. So those common resources are placed exactly to help into getting that integration that is so important in enabling the human capacity to deliver the output, the research output that you would be looking for. In terms of culture, which is the third pillar beyond strategy and structure, this is so important, but we're just starting the research culture here in some countries like the States and others. It's already embedded in the system, and when the person gets in the door, they already entering a mill, basically, and then they already know exactly where it stands. That is a little bit more challenging when you are at the beginning of the research endeavor. And that is, but the university is doing a lot in terms of enhancing the culture for research. That is through training and professional development that's available to all our faculty. Almost all of them would be sent. The brand name or reputation, which is the magnet that brings people, students and others. And then that is through various accreditation that were achieved. And then the bigger one that's we're being embarked on, which is the SACS accreditation. And then the accountability or research, quality assurance and enhancement. People know that if you put in quality, your output will be also quality. Those are that type of mechanism that ensure the quality research. Also, there are some areas that, like I think most institutions here will be probably faced with, and those are the issue of research as a passion and personal passion versus a job. And then the mix of faculty that we have coming from all around the world, you have people who think about it as a job, you have people thinking about it as a passion, and then but in general, the inner drive is really a key factor in terms of delivering research output, because it requires so much commitment just beyond the regular working hours. It's a non-ending endeavor. The other is the critical mass and talent pool, and that was mentioned earlier. And researchers tend to flock. They go to areas where you have a good number of other people you can interact with, and you can kind of synergize with. And that's an area that we're all working on, including Education City and then Qatar University. Despite our large number of faculty, about 600, we still, in the scheme of things, the critical mass, when you divide them into sub-areas, sub-specialty, then you start thinning out into a few. The other is the student as lifeblood. In most research-intensive institutions, they have that synergy between student and faculty. And then the long-term retention of research talent. I was just signaled that time is running. What is key is that research talent is because when you have like somebody who's joining the institution, within the next, they would have a lag period, and then their productivity will increase after 3 to 4 years. And if you lose them around that time, you are constantly being sent back to the original state, which is not healthy for productivity. So I'll finish by this one. I liken the human factor to an ecology in which you have the individual, which is the building block. We need that. So you need to attract, retain, reward, and then reward those talent, be it faculty, student, or others. You have also the infrastructure, which is the habitat. An organism or individual can live only in a habitat. And if it's not there, they will migrate or they will not live to their potential. And that is the hard facility, the soft facility, which is enabling technology, IT, and support, and so on. And then you have also, they need also an ecosystem in which they can operate. Without the ecosystem, they don't also reach their potential. And that ecosystem is basically partnership, cross-disciplinary collaboration, and then also the synergistic partnership where you build on your strength and then complement each other. And then the last one is the feeder, which is the national commitment or investment, and that has been through the Qatar Foundation or Qatar National Research Fund. And at least from the perspective of Qatar University, we have tremendously benefited from this. In the last few years, our funding has been increasing. It is about, now about $50 million a year or so, and about 60 or so proposals every year. And that translated in a high output of publication, being the about 300 peer-reviewed publication with impact factors in the last few years, and about another couple of hundreds of conferences, international conferences that our researchers highlight their research productivity at. And so, in conclusion, we all know that human factor is so important. It's so important that even there are some people who are making the case that to include the human factor as one of the element in the one of the element of the periodical table with the HU. I don't know how many of you have seen the commercial by Dow on the human element. How many? Would you like to see it? Okay. It's a 1 minute video, if it's gonna work. IT. And that basically concludes what I want to share with you. And then, of course, we will be having, the discussion on if you have any questions.
To share it at the beginning of the panel discussion. Thank you, Dr. It gives me really a great joy and pride to introduce our next speaker, Ms. Haya Al-Ghanim, who is the first person who graduated from our Qatar Science Leadership Program, and she is currently managing the Entrepreneurship Office at the Qatar Science Technology Park. Haya, please.
Thank you, Ayman. Assalamu alaikum. I consider myself as an extremely lucky person, privileged to be at the heart and the core of the human development target for Qatar. I benefited from Cornell programs as I was a pre-medical student, and from the Qatar Science Leadership Program, and from the Technology Innovation Entrepreneurship Program at Qatar Science and Technology Park, which summed up my interest and strengthened my skills. So I'm going to focus on educating entrepreneurs for a knowledge economy, and if you wonder, I tried to make the link between research and innovation, how both cannot. Neither can function alone, and there's a need for integrating both research and innovation to get the best outcome and benefit to society. So that's why I feel the importance of developing the skills to manage both research and innovation simultaneously. I work at the Qatar Science and Technology Park, which has the vision to become recognized as an international hub for applied research, innovation, and entrepreneurship. My main role is in developing the innovation and building the human capacity to deliver technology-based ventures. Our main program is the Technology Innovation Entrepreneurship Program, and I joined the program in 2008 as a student. And mainly it was not focused on technologies. It was, the entrepreneurs would come up with any idea they have in mind and try to develop businesses. But my mentor and the rest of the team got together and thought about what is really needed in Qatar, what is missing. And we thought, we have those great ideas generating from the research labs across the road. How can we match those ideas with entrepreneurs and give them the skills to develop businesses that would benefit the society? And that's where our slogan comes from, the real world is our classroom. It's a 9-month intensive program where we recruit students and ideas separately. During the program, we have hands-on workshops that would train the entrepreneurs to take up those ideas and transform them into viable businesses. and we combine both education and pre-incubation in the program at the Science Park. So the vision of the program is to accelerate the development of innovation entrepreneurship capacity and to deliver technology-based innovations and ventures. And we try to focus on ventures with high social impact and economic viability. So we see it as a development platform. We don't see it as just a course where we have the human development aspect, the economic development aspect, and the social development. And to give you an idea about how the program works, we start by recruiting the students, which come from really different ages. This year we have from 22 to 60-year-olds from different backgrounds. And we also recruit ideas from the branch campuses. This year we have an idea from Cornell, we have ideas from Texas A&M University, and sometimes from startup companies that want that have technology ideas and want to explore the region. And in the program, we provide the courses in modules of 3 days every 3 weeks, where the theories are delivered in a condensed way, where only the practice we give just enough theory to get the students started into the practice and implementation of those theories. And because the ideas are and the innovations are from different specialized backgrounds and fields, not all the students have the same scientific background. So a biomedical student or participant in the program could end up with an idea in the oil and gas industry. Depends on their interest. So we provide them with a lot of professional support from business mentors, technical experts, and access to databases to understand the ideas to a level where they can make an informed decision. Also, all my team members act as business developers and project coordinators. And we have a lot of collaboration partners, the branch campuses, all the idea providers collaborate to get the best outcome out of the program. And by the end of the 9-month period, we have a set of entrepreneurs and innovations packaged in a way that can be taken to the next level. Some ideas end up needing further proof of concept support. Others are ready to be enrolled in the market. But we face some challenges, and that's where I would expect our students and entrepreneurs to come back and help us improve in the program. And I would end with the quote that since we live in an age of innovation, a practical education must prepare a person for work that does not yet exist and cannot yet be clearly defined. Thank you.
So thank you, Haya, for this very interesting presentation that focused on how to close the research cycle by introducing us to innovation and entrepreneurship. One more presentation to go. I promise I will be very brief. In 2008, the state of Qatar has published Qatar National Vision 2030, which detailed how the state will focus during the next 2 decades. This was very instrumental for us at Qatar Foundation as it gave us a framework for our work. It gave us a new and exciting mandate, which is being the engine driving the human development in the country. After becoming a strategic center for education lately, Qatar Foundation started to support more and more and to focus more and more on research. So basically, the branch campuses started to do active research. We have launched 3 research institutes. We have the Qatar Science Technology Park. We have, hopefully soon, CIDRA. And more importantly, we have a funding agency, the Qatar National Research Fund. And I truly believe that it's only through these academic institutes, as well as research centers, that Qatar will be able to move from carbon-based to a cradle of innovation. As of its inception in 2007, the research division knew the importance of having of capacity building, and that's why they've established the Office of Research Training and Development that launched a set of programs in a chronological order. I will be describing them. So in 2008, we started with the Distinguished Lecture Series as well as the Qatar Science Leadership Program. In 2009, we had the Qatar Science Leadership Program where we introduced the scientist track. Then we had our first newsletter called Qatar Researcher. In 2010, we've launched a training program for undergraduate. And also we had the Annual Research Forum. In 2011, now we're finalizing our training program for postdocs, and hopefully next year we can start with research internships, especially that we have the institutes up and running. As you can see here, I didn't detail only the human capacity building training program, but also I mentioned some programs relating to disseminating knowledge, as I believe that promoting research at this stage is equally important. Very briefly, the Distinguished Lecture Series, we had 11 so far. It aims to invite Nobel laureate to Doha. It allows our scientists to interact with the Nobel laureate. It's a way to disseminate the knowledge. But more importantly, it gives the chance for our students to really get introduced to world-class science and scientists. Here we see in this photo our students from the Leadership Academy, with our last speaker, Professor Nobel laureate James Baltimore. All right. David Baltimore. So the second program, it's the Qatar Science Leadership Program, which came to answer a lot of challenges. First, not having critical mass of researchers. And second, not having enough administrators to manage and really support the operation of the research centers. So that's why we've created the Qatar Science Leadership Program, having 2 programs, 2 tracks in it. The first track is the research management. It's on-the-job training for 24 months. It allows the trainees to go and get training in different setups. 6 months in one of the branch campuses. Another 6 months could be at QNRF or QSTP. They also can rotate at one of our research institute. Through these rotations, they can learn more about the operations. They can learn more about funding, about promoting, about monitoring, evaluating, all this stuff. We can see here in the photo one of our trainees during her rotation at Sanofi Aventis, because also we give the chance and we push our trainees to get this international flavor. And in the second photo, we can see 2 of our senior administrators in the foundation, Dr. Nabil Salem from QNRF and our Vice President, Dr. Abdullah Howdi. So far, we had 12 candidates in the program. 8 have completed the program successfully. They are joined their target position. We have people at Qatar Science Technology Park, at CIDRA, and the Qatar Biomedical Research Institute, as well as the research division. 3 still in the program, and 1 wanted to shift to the scientist track. We wish her all the luck. She's joining her Imperial College for her PhD. As for the scientist, I will go directly. We had 18 candidates so far. Half of them are in the UK. The other half are between France and the US. As you can see, all are really top-notch universities. For the newsletter, the good thing about the newsletter, which is a way also to disseminate knowledge and to promote research, what started a newsletter for the research division describing only news from the research division has expanded now to cover all stories coming from Education City, including the universities, including Qatar Science Technology Park and Research Institute. We spoke about the Qatar Science Leadership Program. We said this is for graduate studies. We're supporting students to go for graduate studies, for master degree, for PhD. I believe there was a need to start really supporting the students at their early higher education. That's why we've created the Undergraduate Research Training Program. So far, we had 2 students in the program, one at Qatar University, the second one he's studying in UK. I hope really that this year we can have at least 10 students. I hope you're all enjoying the Annual Research Forum. This research festivity, there is a lot of objectives for this Annual Research Forum. I will go directly to what's linked to our topic today. It's basically allow us to promote the scientific culture among the youth, and it's really very important that students had oral presentation, had poster presentation, they were involved in award. That's a good networking for them. They were also contributing to moderating sessions as well as even to organizing this excellent event. The last program I would like to discuss is the postdoctoral training. So we've discussed about the undergrad, we've discussed about the grad. We wanted to keep this learning curve ongoing, and I believe there is a need for such a program. I will go directly to the conclusion. Okay, the objective is to move to a knowledge-based society. And I would like to say that in a knowledge-based society, the number of scientists per capita should be 6 per 1,000. With a small calculation, the number of scientists and researchers in Doha should reach 10,000 scientists. So far, probably we're close to 1,000. A huge gap still need to be overcome. I believe you all agree with me that human capacity building, it's a must and it's a need. Before starting the discussion, I would like to invite all our presenters to sit in the front, and I will leave you with a few thoughts that can keep our discussion running, please. So the floor is open for any question. For anyone who has a question, please feel free. Yes, please. إذا لو سمحت بس الاسم.
My name is Dr. Khaled Machaca from Qatar University. Thank you very much for these nice presentations and highly appreciate it. I would like to ask, I will start from the last one, Dr. Ayman is last but not least. I would like to ask you, the last slide shows that you are highly interested in the science issues, while the social and human issues are not included in the research center. We have a lot of phenomena actually in Qatar, especially in the high speeds phenomena, crime rate and immigrants, immigrations issues that should be included in the research, and it is really a nice research center. This is one question for you. The other question is for Dr. Almuhannadi. Thank you very much, and I will speak in Arabic. Excuse me for this. دكتورة شكرا على البرزنتيشن. حقيقة يعني أنتم قمتوا بجهود جبارة بخصوص البحث العلمي، ولكن كيف تضمنين مثلا أن الريسيرش الذي يأتي من الستودنت أو من الطالب أنه فعلا هو اللي قام فيه الطالب؟ هل في معايير تضمن هذا الشيء؟ لأن المدارس راح تتسابق إلى البحث، فبالتالي عملية ضمان أن فعلا الطالب هو الذي قام بهذا البحث مع ضمان المعايير اللي تحدثت عنها، وشكرا.
Okay, thank you for your question. Basically, yes, there is a need. And as a research division, we shouldn't be focusing only on scientific issues. However, when we started really at Qatar Foundation in 2008 to put more and more efforts, the focus was from the beginning on four main, I would say, areas: biomedical, energy, environment, and computing science. So when trying to building these programs, we couldn't start with social sciences because the most important for us in human capacity building is also to have for them the career path, to have a secured position for them. However, now we said, okay, these centers are up, are running, they've started. We need to enlarge our scope, include other centers. And I'm glad to say, honestly, that this year we had our first student in social science that we've sponsored to go abroad and get his PhD. So it was always there, but we were always afraid, at least as a research training and development office, to be able to send someone and we don't have something ready for him when he finishes PhD. And we don't want him to be isolated at the end. Now when we're starting to focus, so of course we will be opening this up for everyone. Absolutely.
شكرا على السؤال. بالنسبة للإجابة على سؤالك، احنا يمكن الهدف عندنا مش الهدف الطالب يفوز أو إنه يشترك في مسابقة، الهدف إنه يمارس البحث العلمي بطرق سليمة. ذكرت أنا أن البحث العلمي جزء من معايير المناهج، فهنا مطالب المدرس بأنه يدرب الطالب على البحث العلمي. يعني في كل مادة لابد أن الطالب يعرف أساسيات البحث العلمي. أيضا إحنا من خلال الأخصائيين اللي ينزلون المدارس، كل أخصائي يتأكد أنه تم تفعيل معايير البحث العلمي في المدارس. أيضا إحنا نعمل مسابقات مصغرة قبل المسابقات اللي هي النهائية. هنا نتأكد أن الطالب هو اللي عمل بحث من خلال العرض ومن خلال أسئلة لجنة التحكيم للطالب. هنا يبان إذا الطالب عمل البحث أو حد عمل له، أو فنأكد أيضا في رصد الدرجات في درجة على عرض الطالب ومدى تمكنه من بحثه، فهذه يضمن لنا أن الطالب عمل البحث بدون مساعدة أي شخص. شكرا.
Thank you, panelists. A general question to the panel really is in regards to knowledge accessibility, access to information that's available. And I guess this is one central pillar to research conducting, research undertaking. And I think the panelists yesterday, or rather the day before yesterday in the opening session, they did talk about accessibility to, access rather to knowledge, to information and so on. I believe, coming from a university background, I feel like it's very important for people to have that kind of access to knowledge and information. Considering a forum with the magnitude of this kind of forum devoted to research, I myself found it quite difficult to have this kind of access to knowledge. To begin with, at the very last moment, I realized that there is excuse me, a forum as such. And I think it's very important to communicate things to do with research to the general public. Like I said, surprisingly, I only came to know about this forum at the very last minute. And I think since people talk about the, excuse me, the importance of having this kind of access to information and knowledge, it is unfortunate that that kind of information is not made accessible to all. So any comments on your parts, please? Thank you.
When it comes to access to knowledge in terms of disseminating the outcomes of research and innovation outcomes, we do try to first speaking for Qatar Science Technology Park, we try to target our partners and have access to their networks. So we do try to have both general public announcements and access to our partners for events or for any information dissemination exercises like business reviews, forums, and so on. But I do agree with you. Sometimes I myself find out things last minute.
The premise of your question, I think it has two components, if I understood. One of them is the communication issue, learning about event and other things. And then the other might be access to knowledge, which is really limited to those who are interested in technology transfer or learning about something. And those are two different things. For example, worth mentioning event in our university, for example, are announced in newspapers and so on, and within the university, mailer list. But those are just public knowledge type of thing. Now, the actual technical knowledge has outlets that are available. I mean, usually it goes into the general databases of sciences, whatever, and there is access through libraries, through other mechanisms. But I don't know if one can provide that ready public access to those technical documentation. And if that's, it should be, copyright and some other issues. But if there is somebody who, or organization that could do that, could be probably the foundation, because being the hub for all of this, and that's probably something you could comment on in terms of,
I believe now that there was extensive discussion about having a research portal that would make easier the link between all scientists and researchers, or any from the public that you would like to communicate with and know what's taking place. And I hope that we finished the first phase. Now we started the discussion on the second phase, but I hope within this year there will be a portal for research which will allow better communication.
Just add to that, I think actually what I was referring to is, it's more what's happening is related to within the discipline. And it's that kind of communication within the discipline that's happening, sadly enough. And like I said, I'm pretty sure that if that kind of information is made to the larger public, more people who have participated, we would see more people being involved in an event such as this. Thank you.
It's okay, I think everybody can hear me. I'm Dr. Michael Long, I'm the research officer at the College of the North Atlantic. This is a question for Haya. Thank you anyway. Haya, I'm curious with the TIEP program. I mean, clearly you're developing technologies there that you're trying to commercialize, right? I'm curious about who's doing the technical support for those technologies. Do you have someone in-house who's doing that? Or when it comes to the prototyping and the fabrication that goes behind those technologies, who's responsible for that?
Our research partners are responsible for that. So we do recruit ideas that are gone so far to a certain point in research. So one of the ideas we have is from Cornell University that's been funded and developed in-house. And then as soon as they recognize that there is a commercial potential, they would include it in the program. And the same goes for Texas A&M University, Carnegie Mellon University, Qatar University. But I would argue that some ideas should be included even as soon as the funding started. And if I would push it, I would say before they get funded. We don't have the technical development in-house at QSTP, but ideas get developed by the researchers themselves in the branch campuses. And some of the ideas get further funded after they complete or while they're in the program being developed and commercially vetted.
I have a question for Ms. Haya as well. It sort of follows on with the question Doctor had. So you mentioned about the program, and then, like, would you give us some examples of the products of the program, either in the form of physical products or like social schemes that have been outputted?
Maybe Dr. Khaled would like to talk about one of the ideas, or Dr. Iyad.
Can you guys hear me okay? Yeah. So in my mind, I think the TIE program is a great program. It's kind of taking an idea from the concept of research that you think has commercial applicability and using that program to build a business plan around it. If you're going to commercialize it, how are you going to commercialize it? And the approach that QSTP has taken is a wonderful one, because at the same time as the students are building a business program around the case, they're learning about how to become entrepreneurs, how to pitch a company, and how to do it. And the goal ultimately is that those programs that go through the TIE program become actual companies that have a revenue stream, that train people, that initiate further research, but more importantly, commercialize what has already been achieved. The example that Haya mentioned in terms of Cornell, Cornell has sequenced the date palm genome, and from that we've discovered a region of the genome that allows you to sex date palm plants, differentiate between male and female. This is important for the production industry because farmers don't want to plant a male because a male doesn't produce fruit. So if you're able to differentiate between the two genders very early on in the process, that will increase your productivity, it will increase your income, and so on. So that's a very concrete idea about how the TIE program can take a very basic research product, a sequence of a gene, and then build a company around it that will benefit the industry both nationally and regionally in the process.
Another idea that some of our students looked at was a system to purify water, but it's most suitable for developing countries. So our students, to study the market and understand if this is a feasible business idea, they took a trip to Cambodia to meet some regional partners and learn about the regional ecosystem and better build a feasible business case. Does that answer your question?
It does.
So at the end, I would like to thank you all for participating today and wish to see you in our future events. Thank you all.
Thank you.